Punch! Everybody, hello. Welcome to the One Punch Recap Show. I'm Rob Duanius, graphic artist Esquire. If you're joining in for the very first time, you should know that every week we're taking an in-depth look at each episode of One Punch Man, the anime, which I'm watching on Hulu. I don't get paid for that. Free Hulu plug. Joining me to talk about One Punch Day is Ashley West from GangFeather.com. Ashley?
Hello.
And Brandon, resident One Punch Cosbro. Let Heavy James say hello.
Hello.
We should all just, instead of saying hi, we should just say One Punch. Like, that way we know.
One Punch!
One. I'm always so afraid to say it.
All right, so we had a hell of an episode this week. Episode 7, The Ultimate Disciple. Let me give you the quick hits. Huh? You like that? Let me give you the quick hits on what happened. Basically, this was a big fighting episode. This was pretty awesome. So we had a giant meteor is going to destroy everything. No hero wants to deal with it, except we meet a new guy named Metal Knight, who we don't know is good or bad. Genos goes there, and Genos fucking does the awesome shit. And then Saitama, of course, has to do his thing and save the day. And then we ended up in Man of Steel Aftermath Land, where then Saitama has to feel the wrath of public scorn and opinion. And then we leave it on a pretty good cliffhanger for episode 8's episode, which I have a feeling some big bads are finally going to come in and really wreck some havoc. So, that being said, Ashley, what was your favorite part of this episode? You got some stuff you want to talk about?
I don't know. Just, I guess the whole meteor concept was interesting. That used to really freak me out as a child, like huge freaking meteors. So as an adult, it was kind of nice, like, not to be freaked out for once about something like that. And it was nice. I mean, it was kind of cool, like, the way they really drew it out. And even though Saitama punched the meteor, I was thinking the whole time, even if he does punch it, or even if they do explode it, it's going to just shoot everywhere, you know, or just turn into, like, what's it going to do? Turn into pixie dust, you know? Like, and it did. It just decimated the whole city. But what really surprised me was when they're like, he's like, what are you so, or I don't know what everyone's so mad about. No one died or whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean no one died? Like,
because they were evacuated.
I know, but I guess. But did you see that? I mean, it was like crushing buildings. I don't know, just hard for me to, but okay. But anyway, that was, it was interesting. And I liked, what's his name? Master Knight? Was it Master Knight?
Metal Knight.
Metal Knight. Okay.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was cool. Anybody else?
Brandon?
Yeah, to touch on what you said, Ashley, and what Rob also noted, it did have a very Man of Steel kind of feel where and the Batman vs Superman trailer where shit's exploding everywhere. You think it, like, the chaos has stopped, but it just makes it worse. Just like a shotgun effect of just everything going everywhere in that scene. It's just the good, you know, they say no one's hurt. I mean, there's probably still a couple people live in that town, I'd imagine.
Oh, they didn't say no one was hurt. They said no one died. So people
Okay,
probably
no one
got
died.
injured, but no one died from their injuries.
Right.
Miraculously, however that worked out.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Cartoons. I want to go back to the beginning of it. I find it cool and annoying how much Genos, the cyborg guy, needs to prove himself so badly that it seems like anytime there's a challenge, he's just like, this is my moment. This is my great thing to show how amazing I am. And he is cool, but it's just like, it's a I don't want to say trend, but it happens a lot where he's like, this is it. This is the time I do it. And then he just falls short and he needs saved. He's almost like a damsel in distress. You know,
or he's 19.
Yeah. He's 19. Yeah, well, it's like he, yeah.
Brandon, think back a few years ago, right? When you
Okay, I'm thinking back.
right, you're thinking back. When you're 19, you feel you have to prove everything to everybody.
I could fight the whole world.
Right? I mean,
You feel old, and then you realize you're not. When you look back at it, and you think you know everything, but you don't.
that's why you always sign up young kids in the army. Like,
Full of dreams and heroism.
and they want to prove themselves. And he's constantly, and his best friend is a guy who's incredibly powerful.
Right,
So,
almost
like
like a big brother kind of looks up to him.
Yeah, so, you know, he's got to prove to himself that, you know, and in any other universe, you feel like, wow, in any other anime, Genos would be the hero, right? He'd be like the classic super guy comes out there and saves the day. and nothing he's doing is really gonna help stop anything. You know, it's Saitama that the human will is beating any of his technological, advancements. But I almost wonder if it's more of a spiritual center thing. Like getting to the core of who he is. Like when he finally decides, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about failure since the outcome is death anyway. May as well give everything I got and then die. Like if certain death is definitely guaranteed no matter what happens, I may as well just sacrifice myself. So I do think at the end of the day, you find out that despite proving himself, at his core, he's a good guy. Genos is willing to sacrifice himself to save, a bunch of assholes.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Metal Knight, who doesn't even show up to the fight, he just sends drones. He's not even there. He's like
And he's there to like test something. He's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, if it destroys it, that's great. At least that's what I got from it. But he's like, if not, oh well.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about that too, because I've been thinking about that situation. Why would other heroes not show up? And they don't directly talk about this, but they do allude to it in a way. So in this episode, Saitama starts off at the 388th position, and he finds out he rose to 345 in Class C based off.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the episode.
Sorry,
You gotta
yeah,
watch it. And then at the end of the episode, he jumps, or the midpoint, he jumps from 345 to 5th in his class rank. And then, you find out, too, that none of the Class S heroes showed up to this demon event. And then you also find out what the different events mean. There's threat level Tiger, Dragon, God. I think there's another one somewhere in there before that. And I've been thinking about that. So if Saitama increases rank level because he helped out and saved the day, if heroes fail, do they lose rank? So like if they don't show up to the big battle, they can't lose any rank.
Right.
Like
if they don't take the fight, they don't lose any points. They don't.
Right, so they're not in it to help anybody. They're there about gaining notoriety, money, and rank. It's strange. I mean, it's an interesting dilemma. Like
Almost like boxing or UFC fighting is nowadays, where they don't take every fight; they take the one that'll be the most rewarding or most beneficial to their career.
yeah. In the meantime, the after effect is if you don't take the fight, okay, the pay-per-view card isn't as interesting. Here, if you don't take the fight, like just certain destruction of all life on Earth.
Right.
So I thought that was an interesting side note to that situation. So we found out the only two heroes that did respond, well, three really. One was Genos, two was Bong. Is his name Bang Bong?
Like they say
guy.
bong.
Yeah,
but-
Bong. So he's an older martial arts master. Seems pretty cool. He's the only one who came out and defended Saitama, when people were throwing shit at him verbally. And then Saitama finally shows up. And that's what I want to talk about too. Like Saitama's reveal, like when Genos is, he's got the super arms and he uses the Transformers Matrix, right? He goes, "You got the touch," and he opens it up. And I want to play that "You got the touch" next time I watch the episode. Yeah, Brandon, make that video, right? And he does it, and then Saitama has a touch. He reaches up and plows right through it, and fucking when Saitama shows up, you really feel like the hero arrived. Like despite all this shit we just watched, this one guy's like, "I'm just a hero." Yeah, and he's like in a yellow leotard. He's kind of stupid looking. And then he jumps up, and when he lands, he looks almost, I don't know, it looks a little phallic. Like there you go, Brandon. And he's like all happy, and that building explodes behind him. I fucking die laughing every time. He's like, "That went well." And I'm like, that is the Man of Steel argument that you save the day, but you destroy half the fucking city in the process. So what did you really save?
But it's like, which is worse? I mean,
Well,
what would you rather have?
Saitama also made a good point. He's like, look, if we had, if Metal Knight had been there to actually, or Genos, I think, made the point. He said, if Metal Knight was there to actually help, if these heroes were working together, he could have, earlier he could have tossed Saitama up in the air well above the point of impact.
Right.
It's just Saitama didn't even, apparently Saitama doesn't pay any attention to anything. Like, I mean, he asked,
he was like
what
picking his butt earlier, like when he was like, "Aren't you gonna do anything?" He's like, "No." He was like watching TV or something. I don't know.
He has a disconnect to the world.
Yeah.
So much so he doesn't even track his own ranking. Think about that. He didn't even know he went up in the ranking. He's like, "Oh,
Right.
really? I went up?" Like Genos does that. He's like, "Oh, oh, that's cool." And then he makes a joke at Genos. "Oh, you're gonna get fired?" Because he's like, "Oh, they want to see me at office." He's like, "Maybe you're gonna get fired." Like he makes a joke and then scratches his ass. So,
That's it.
Brandon, you talked about the Mega Blast. You want to talk about that art sequence?
Yeah, I when Genos does, and I call it the Mega Blast, when he takes that his arc reactor thing out of his chest and puts it in his arm, and he does that super Mega Blast. I really like the art in that scene. It has, because this show likes to mix a lot of, colored pencils, pencil lines, inking, uh, all kind of different things like that. And this scene really had like really cool colors, that purples and pinks and um, that scratchy look to it. And I really liked it. It's funny too because his hair for a couple moments looked kind of like Dragon Ball Z when they're doing their Hame Kame thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what it reminded me of him. He always has different hairstyles, but it did that whole pointed up. It was white, but I really like the art in that scene. I love how this show isn't afraid to mix medias. There's painted scenes, there's uh, digital, there's scratchy pencils when he's fighting. There's all kind of different things, and that scene really stood out to me out of the whole episode. That was just really beautiful to see. So
Ashley,
I
you were
liked
gonna
it.
add in?
What?
You were gonna say something?
No, no, no. I'm fine.
She was gonna say
I was gonna say
to the
Super
black.
Saiyan,
Yeah, I had
but
the Super
the Hame
Saiyan.
Kame Yama Yama. What? Yeah, that too.
Hame. Yeah, I liked it.
I don't even
Uh,
know. Like,
you don't know?
folks,
You
I
didn't
don't
watch
I
it.
don't watch Dragon Ball.
Okay, well, when they do their two hands together Sub-Zero blast, hands out kung fu move, they say Hame Kame, and you got to yell it. You got to really. The bigger the blast, the louder you yell it. So that's what it reminded me of. So people who have seen Dragon Ball Z, they'll recognize it. That the hair starts to stick up to these like it looks like bananas turned upside, like bananas up on
Yeah.
their head, just curled weird yellow points on their head. It just has that feel to it. And I mean, this show's had nod to Dragon Ball Z before with the Piccolo looking guys, so it's nothing new to see like a scene and think, oh, that reminds me of Dragon Ball Z. So
Right.
that's what I think about it. Uh, another thing that stood out for me that made me laugh out loud was when after he blows up the comet thing, Saitama, and he's walking away and everything's just exploding behind him, and he just has that weird vague look. It reminded me of like every action movie back in the day where a cool guy would just walk away from the explosion and doesn't look back, and the shit's just going off around him, and he could care less. And I mean, that just touches on his disconnect and everything. He doesn't give a shit. I mean, he could have ran around and maybe stopped some of those pieces, but he's just like, yeah, I stopped the big piece, whatever. So that's another thing I liked.
Well, I think that'll be a character arc for him. He'll have to learn, like how do you save everyone and not let everything get destroyed simultaneously. Like that's the part of earning your keep situation. So it'll be interesting to see over the next few episodes if that's something that he does learn. Like when that guy goes, "You ruined my new car," and he's like, "Fucker, you're alive, dude." Like, I almost got the feeling that if Genos hadn't stopped Saitama, he might have turned villainous at some point. Like,
Oh yeah, he was on a good rant. Like he was just like, "Fuck you, fuck your car. I don't give a shit." Like the alternative here was you die. So you either can't drive to work tomorrow because your car's ruined, or because you're dead. So he just it's something you wouldn't see like Superman do. You wouldn't see Superman being like, you know what, you're being kind of an ass.
we don't know. We got a whole movie coming out in a couple weeks. We don't know. Zack Snyder, he'd be like, what? Fuck y'all, I'm Superman. You know what I mean? Remember Coming to America? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Who next? Maybe Superman once saw the Martin Luther the King. You ain't never met no Dr. Martin Luther King. Ashley, was there any particular point in animation or frames on this episode that you really?
I really liked Genos's power. I mean, when he's gonna shoot the meteor, I really liked the action in that and the way. Especially the part where they're going to commercial break, and it says a one punch little
It's the lobby card, right?
lobby card. Kind of that sort of animation. They did another animation of the same thing, kind of in the show. It was just they just stylized it different.
It's got the
So.
side view and he's clasping it. So it's like Mega
And
Man
he's
blast.
shooting at the sky, and it's nice. It's cool.
How
And
great
the
would it
si-
be to see these
What?
guys do a Mega Man cartoon? You know,
Yeah.
like just saying. You were saying?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Well, the music helped too. It was kind of nice. It was like boom, and the music was like I had my headphones on, so it was like bass, and it just I don't know. It was cool.
My favorite lobby card still last episode with the snake. Like that's my Snake is my favorite. It's Snake Man. It's the Snake Man. Like I love it. Like, but yeah, this was like totally Iron Man 2, right? Remember in the trailer for Iron Man 2 where he's got the briefcase and he sets it down, and he puts his hands in there, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna beat this, and we're all like, oh, we're losing our fucking minds. I can't wait to see that. And then the movie comes out, we're like, eh. But he's got that suitcase. I like that initial leap too. He's up in the camera and like he just drops way down on the, and he's in he drops on the rooftop and he's in the clone spider. He's got like the clone spider. Remember Spider-Man, that tank top? I don't know why he's wearing a tank top. He's fucking metal. It's just so he can rip it off like Hulk Hogan and shit. Like show his metal chest and he's running. He's got that suitcase. I don't know where does he keep the suitcase? Like, was that suitcase with nuclear arms in Saitama's closet this whole time? Like, what other weird equipment does he have running around?
Just random spots.
It's like
He just,
that scientist builds it for him when we're not looking.
Yeah, Dr. Light. Like,
Dr. Light.
I think it's Furtado. I want to say Nelly Furtado, but that's that chick with the piano. Remember that? Like,
I fly away.
yeah, there you go. Like, with the mushroom head thing.
Ugh.
So awesome. So, anything else, Brandon? You want to wrap it up?
I'd say out of all the episodes, just kind of rate it.
One punch,
was-
2 punch, 3 punch, or 4 punch, 5 punch. We'll do out of punches. 5 punches to 1 punch.
1 punch, 2 punch. I'd give it a 3 punch because it was great. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite. I don't know if I'd watch the episode again, but I liked it. So 3 punch.
Ashley?
I'm gonna say 2 punch.
Aww.
I liked the first episode and the third episode the best, and I'm hoping there's gonna be more kind of that kind of action going on. So
Y'all are
I
crazy.
just feel like
y'all,
it was a little
y'all are
bit.
crazy. I give it 4 punches.
I don't know. It's just
Eh.
I felt like there was, and also the guy I didn't like the tank top tiger bros.
Yeah, I don't think you're
because we're-
supposed to
Top
like
girls.
them.
No,
Like,
you're supposed to
I know,
hate them
but I
frat
was just
boys.
like, it's not even just that. The guy's voice was irritating.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I know it's supposed to be, but I was like, whoa, okay, dude, settle down here.
They succeeded in making you hate those characters.
They did. And I thought that, I will say this, at the end, after Saitama punched him, and him and Genos and Bang or Bong had, sounds weird,
Bulge.
had their little discussion in front of everybody. They're like, you should be thanking this guy, okay? And they're like, oh, all right. Well, Black Hole Tank Top, or whatever his name
tank
is,
top, yeah.
Tank Top Black Hole,
yeah.
was on the ground, and he was in the fetal position. And there was this tiniest animation where he would kind of like, he was like wriggling on the ground, but he was like moving too. Like he was slightly moving away from, and it was you could barely notice it. But if you go back and watch it, unless you saw it, it was pretty.
Yeah, I
funny.
saw
And
it. He's like slowly like.
I wish they kind of drug it out a little bit longer. But they
After all our podcasts we've done so far, I really thought one of you guys was going to go to talking about his bulge while he was on the ground. I
No.
thought that's where it was going. I
No.
thought we
Well,
thought it
I
was
see.
going
I
there.
tank top tigered you, dumbass. If I didn't say, I knew you would eventually do it to yourself, dude. Look, I beat you with my mind. Like, I don't even have to have a giant meteor, Brandon. I
Snake
don't have to have a
hands,
giant
snake hands.
bulge in the air. That's where I was gonna go with it. This is giant bulge on the, and Saitama goes up the pee hole, explodes the bulge into a bunch of small bulge.
Jesus. All right.
Mind blown! It just got worse, son. Like, I just
No words.
punched your argument right out the
No
fucking.
words.
I do want to say you make a good point, Ashley, but I think that what the episode did was it gave you an existential physical threat that Saitama can deal with no problem. But then it counters him with the intellectual threat. And it's that, you know, the Superman quotient that, yeah, you can save people, but you're destroying everything. And it looks like even a weak argument, in this case, these guys aren't geniuses, the Tank Top Brothers or whatever, they're fairly stupid. Uh, but that their argument's so passionate and it speaks to the mindless people on the ground who are only thinking of their personal belongings, that they can sort of be propped up. But Saitama deals with it fairly well when he goes, I just don't care what you think. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're fucking alive, so you should just thank me. So, I wonder what that would be like if Genos hadn't showed up to stop Saitama. Maybe he would have gone bad, but
It seemed like the old guy kind of was like, this guy, like, I kind of thought that the old guy was commending, Bong. I thought he was commending Saitama
He was.
for his restraint a little bit. Like, I'd have to go back and watch it because I'm not really sure if I'm saying the right thing, if I'm just thinking I saw something or heard something. But I don't know. It felt like the old guy kind of could see into Saitama's agenda. Yeah, sort of.
Well, he could see, he knows the true power of this guy. He knows, and it's classic samurai move. You know how strong the master is, you never have to pick up your sword, right? Because you know how the
Right.
battle's going to go no matter
He is
what.
a teacher. He's got a school, so
Yeah.
he's used to seeing these people with power and trying to guide them.
And so he knows Saitama can take care of himself. That being said, the show, the reason why I give it 4 punches is this is an episode that has to occur at some point. And it can't occur during a major third act. In a story, you can't have this moral dilemma of how does Saitama... Because in every episode, Saitama stops something, but everything else gets blown up. And we've all been laughing at it. At some point, someone has to make the case. It's called exposition. There's no way around it.
Yeah,
Someone has to
and
say... And that's where, do you put it in its own episode, or do you put it... You can't put it in the third act when the giant villains appear. So you have to get it to, like... It's almost... There's this... I hate to use a 3 act because really 5 acts is leisure, but there's this point where you make that case and then they deal with it and then they have to deal with the ramifications of them dealing with it again. And movies that a movie that does this really, really well, there's 2 films I can point out to you that deal with this really well. One is The Incredibles, 2 is Ratatouille. And the reason why is when you get to Ratatouille, the whole point of the story is, oh, can a rat cook, and then what happens if they find out? And that would be the normal story in a normal script, but the critics and everyone finds out that a rat's cooking their food actually before the third act starts, and then you're left wondering what happens next. You don't know where the story's going to go because you figured that would be the whole point, and then it keeps going. Incredibles does the same thing. What happens if his family finds out he's being a superhero? Well, they find out, and then what happens if he doesn't save in time? Well, he saves them, and then there's a third act. What do you do then?
Right.
So.
And I'm not like, I know that these points have to come. They have, and you have to because you have to know what's going on. I think whereas like a movie, it's faster, so you don't really have as much time to look at it in that same way. Since this is a show, they can cover it longer and kind of expand on it if they need to. And I think that sometimes that's where if you're like trying to rate a show, and that happens to fall in that one show, that's kind of where the I guess the rating kind of. There's like I guess an unfair look at it. You know what I mean? Compared to a movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're episode 7 out of 13 episodes, so we're at the halfway point.
Yeah,
so we're
and
gearing
that's
up.
like 6 hours.
We're gearing up to the third act. We're not at the third act yet. When you're in the third act when the hero's all alone and he has to fight the villain by himself. Just so you know, folks, you ever want to ruin a movie? When you hit that point, you're in the third act. That's how it works. So, we're not there yet. But this moral thing, this character question is coming up now at the halfway point. So, however he deals with it moving forward, we're going to see it. However he deals with it probably isn't going to work out. You know, like if it's the story set up well, he'll do something, it won't work out the way he wants to, that will fail, and then he'll have to rise above that and then enter into the final act alone. Like so for me, like I'm always gauging storytelling, like, oh, how are they telling this thing? You know, how are they doing this? What are they doing here? What actually happened? So it's actually a really good halfway point. It's actually a point that could have been made 3 episodes ago. I won't lie, you know. But 3 episodes ago, we were getting, you know, the underground laboratory with the crazy animal people, and I would never get rid of that episode.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I still think that's my favorite battle, just because of all the shit that happens. So, but I do like this episode overall. It. I think compared to the rest of the episodes, it flies by fast. You know, up until when Tank Top Tiger talks, and then you're like, "Shut up, motherfucker!" You know, like, you won't
Yes.
stop talking. You know, so whatever. But that's good. So Ashley gives it 2, Brandon gives it 3, I give it 4. I think that's a fair call. All right, that's it, folks. We're gonna wrap this up. Ashley, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and I'm Gang Feather.
And Brandon, where can people one punch you on the internet?
If you don't hear me on here, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Lead Heavy. That's LEAD Heavy.
And hashtag Mega Potato. Right. As always, folks, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave your comments below. You can always hit us up directly at SketchCraft on Twitter or Instagram. I love my Instagrammies. You're all my peeps. I got a lot of love for you. We'll be back next week. Remember, the One Punch Recap Show is recorded for a live internet audience supported by viewers like you. We will be back with the next episode, episode 8, The Deep Sea King. Honestly, the stinger at the end of this episode, I can't wait. I want to see a big battle. You know, and we're getting like the evil Namor army, I think, you know, the rise
Right.
of the mermen and shit. I'm really looking forward to this episode 8.
Rob loves mermen.
I love mermen!
Mermen always seem like they're really hostile and crazy.
Yeah, well,
But
the
awesome.
ocean's weird, you know.
You're swimming in your own bathroom.
All right, everybody, let's head out of here.
Bye.
Bulge. Bulge. It's for you, Brandon.